This is the Ballin' Out Podcast, your weekly breakdown of Red Raider basketball from Double T 97.3 and Double T Sportsnetwork.com.
Yo, yo, yo!
Yo.
I'm not going to start the podcast that way. Actually, I think it's already started.
Too late.
This is the Gaslighters alongside Clint Scott. I'm Chois, Woodman. I don't know who just turned it off, but if you're still with us,
Hi, Mom.
this is the Gaslighters, powered by Double T Sports Network. We talk lots of things, but mostly Texas Tech basketball in this safe space. We will talk about a recent loss with Texas Tech taking a shorthanded L to the Houston Cougars. Tech also rolled past West Virginia since we've last done one of these, and we'll look ahead because the Red Raiders have a pretty big one coming up in the state of Kansas. Clint, I think obviously we'll go the furthest back to the West Virginia game. This was about as straightforward of a game as you'd get out of Texas Tech. You beat a team that was inferior to you and beat them handily. It wasn't a very fast start, but once Texas Tech did settle in, the Red Raiders rolled pretty easily.
Yeah, it's interesting. If you're in a different part of Big 12 country, like you're a Colorado fan or something, and you're just kind of Big 12 scoreboard watching, you look at that game and you look at the outcome on the bottom ticker there on ESPN and go, oh, okay, so they just handled that game like they should have. And really, you had to fight through major struggles. Mm-hmm. You didn't take off in that game until the 5-minute mark there towards the end of the first half. But, man, when you took off, you took off. Now, the one thing that was consistent in that game was your defense. And on one hand, West Virginia isn't very good offensively. But also, I thought you went in going, okay, we can't have Javon Small have a takeover game. And Christian Anderson, as good as he was offensively, setting a career high in that game, it was even better defensively. And I know we'll get into this in a second, but I thought he echoed that performance on the defensive side against Houston. But that's the first thing I look at. Obviously, you didn't have Chance McMillan in that game. That would turn into the next game not having Chance McMillan or Darion Williams.
Oof.
But knowing in your first career start that you're going to have to answer the bell against West Virginia, Christian Anderson absolutely did that. JT Toppin was JT Toppin. And he struggled at first. He was I think he was 0 for 5.
Yeah, I think 0 for 6 from the floor to begin the game. Yeah.
And then ends up with the team high 22 points. And so the ability to fight through an ugly game and then turn it into a really, really good game is something really special about this roster.
Yeah, I agree. Chance McMillan, no problem for Red Raiders against West Virginia. Not the same for Tech versus Houston. I will say one of the absolute most electric atmospheres. I don't think you'll ever top the Chris Beard return with Texas in terms of pure hatred within the arena. But I think most people that attended, Patrick Mahomes in attendance, I think most would tell you that was a top 5 experience as far as just pure atmosphere at the USA. And unfortunately, you're not able to win this game. You're shorthanded. I think if you have one of the two, in Darion Williams or Chance McMillan, that might push you over the edge. But basketball in its simplest form, Clint, is shot making. Who can make more shots than the other team? And the Red Raiders had looks. They had so many shots go about halfway down and pop out. It felt like it was a force against the Red Raiders to not win this basketball game. No matter how hard they tried, and they did try really hard, you just couldn't get over the hump and win it.
That's kind of been the big takeaway, I think, from everybody. And I don't think it's not inaccurate or anything like that, but it's like, oh man, if you only had either McMillan or Williams, you win that game. Well, the way I look at it, if you have a better shooting night, you win that game.
You do, absolutely.
And you got some good looks there. As you mentioned, you had some down and outs. You go from, and I'm not saying like this is the only reason why you lost the game. It's more of a, if you played this game again, even shorthanded, although I don't want to, there could be a different outcome. And really that's more of a credit of how good you played defensively. And I thought, even in a loss, from the 6 of your usual 9 rotation, and I'm throwing Yalaho in there too, who played a huge factor in the win at Houston.
He played 21 minutes in that game.
Without him as well,
yeah.
I think that's more of a credit to what I thought was the hardest played total game you've seen from the Red Raiders, and you had to do it. You had to do it shorthanded. They played clean defensive basketball. They didn't foul a bunch. I thought they did a good job of also giving themselves a chance by getting to the line. It just was not a night from outside that you were hitting shots.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it was just one of those. If you would have told me that Tech's out rebounding Houston by 7 in this game, I would have felt really good about your chances to win. But you look at the shooting percentages, and that tells the story of the game, unfortunately. So you come up short against the number 4 team in the country, a team that I think should and probably will get a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. You're not going to lose a whole lot from that. I don't think you get knocked at all for losing that basketball game.
Well, and and analytics didn't knock you.
The analytics definitely didn't. I don't even think any of the committee members, and you had a lot of eyeballs on that game, obviously, on the big Monday. I don't think you're getting knocked at all for that. What I do think it does, Clint, is it eliminates some margin for error, eats up some equity. I think that's what happens because now you go into Lawrence in a game that feels like it's pretty must win if you want to get to a 3 seed.
Yeah, I think the, hey, could you get to a 2 seed, that you would have to have others crumble around you that are in front of you.
Yeah.
And so it's, can you maintain a spot on the 3 seed, or depending on where you're looking bracketology-wise, can you go up to a 3 seed? Because, I mean, you're pretty much landing between a 3 and a 4 right now, depending on, pick your favorite outlet of all the different bracketologists out there. Made up profession.
Is it?
Yes. They panned their way from the office into a spot, and now everyone's doing it.
Oh, sure, but it still works.
Oh, yeah, it's because of suckers like me that
and
check every single day.
And us. And by the way, if you're really into the bracketology thing, like a lot of people are, we've got a weekly compilation of all the bracketologies, the main ones, at doubletsportsnetwork.com. Y'all can go check those out, and it'll tell you who they're playing, what seed Tech is in each one, potential second-round matchups, which a lot of those have you potentially against a Chris Beard and Ole Miss, or
that's been my favorite one.
A Texas. If Texas is an 11 seed, you could match up with them if they got through to the second round. There's some pretty interesting ones. You know the NCAA tournament loves to do that. But I think if you want a 3 seed, and I think it is important to get to that 3 seed spot, then I think you really need to win in Lawrence, and that's never been an easy thing. There are 2 losses there. You can talk about the Jayhawks and their struggles. Almost all of them have come away from home.
4 and 5 on the road. The offense for them really has disappeared for the most part on the road.
But at home, they've still been good. They let one disappear and just completely gave one away against Houston, or Houston went and took it, however you want to look at it.
Depends
and
which overtime you're talking about.
Okay. And the other one is a New Year's Eve loss, like we saw with Texas Tech against UCF, where it was just kind of a sleepwalking thing. So it's not like Kansas is a bad basketball team at Allen Fieldhouse. All of that being said, Texas Tech has never had a better chance on paper to go in and win at Allen Fieldhouse than they do this year.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth on this game for a lot of the things you just said. You almost have to take out the road version of Kansas, because if you just look at that, you're going, well, is this Colorado? Like, who are you looking at right now? And you look at the home games, and as you mentioned, they make a 6-point lead in under 30 seconds against Houston. I say they made it disappear because they just turned the ball over in silly ways and then found a way to lose that game. The New Year's game was a 1-point loss, 62-61 to West Virginia, at the time where West Virginia was rolling into being a top 25 team before the wheels didn't fall off. But when you lose your second leading scorer for as shallow of depth as they have, that hurt them a lot more than it could have hurt other teams in the Big 12.
Yep.
And so you look at those and go, well, we're not used to seeing a couple of losses in conference play
right.
In Allen Fieldhouse. We're not used to seeing conference home opening losses under Bill Self.
Definitely not.
At all. But you look at the on paper Kansas, and the talent is there. And what's been so confusing about them is they got virtually everyone through the portal that they really wanted. And I think the ones that they were, not they, but like the fans would have been least excited about have been the best, like Diggy Coit, Zeke Mayo certainly. But the big ones that they were excited about with Ryland Griffin and A.J. Storr have been really inconsistent. But the talent is still there. And so that's what's kind of eerie about this Kansas team. And then at the end of the day, it's still hard to win in Lawrence. But I look at what like you need to do is you need to have really good post defense. Because when that offense has been their best for the Jayhawks, it's been Hunter Dickinson has been productive all year long, but there's been a productive Hunter Dickinson that just sucks the air out of the offense and makes it a bad offense. And then there's been a good version of that where he's been productive, and they've also found a good KJ Adams and a productive freshman Flory Badunga. So I think if you can hold them and make them that Hunter Dickinson is getting frustrated, he still winds up with 15 points, but then you look and his shooting percentage is awful, and because of it, they forced it way too much and had turnovers and had runouts.
Yeah.
I think that's the route to beating them. And then obviously getting either, if not both, Williams or McMillan would be massive, but even without them, let's say you play it the same way against Houston, it's going to go back to what you didn't do against Houston. You're going to have to hit open shots when you get them, and I think you will find some.
Yeah, if I were to guess, I do think you get Darian Williams back. I think Chance McMillan is truly a toss-up and one of those true game-time decisions. So you can get one of those guys back. I think it does make a difference. Not an easy place to play, but Texas Tech has been excellent away from home this year. Well, and specifically in Big 12 road games. So a well-battle-tested team. I think you will see Vegas reflect that. If I'm predicting a line, which we don't have at the time of recording this, I think you'll see Kansas maybe a one-ish point favorite.
Yeah, I would have said Jayhawks 1.5
if
I had to guess. And, if Darian Williams does seems like he'd be the one that will be back.
Yeah.
Last time they played, I know it was in Lubbock, he had one of the best live performances I have ever seen.
Couldn't miss. It was amazing.
Perfect. He made Bill Self quit the game early. He was so mad.
Yeah. I think he set a Tech record in terms of shooting 100%, most shots taken with 100% and most points scored. So it was an amazing night from Darian Williams, and hopefully you get a repeat on Saturday. We're not even going to look at the other game because it is as much of a shoe-in as you've got. It's Colorado, who is playing better basketball, but on your home floor shouldn't be much of an issue on Wednesday night.
I'll say this because it's not the headline grabber. When you're talking about a 3 seed, you should beat Colorado at home. Should beat Colorado at home.
I know there's all shoulds. But
they are playing better, but it's as important to beat Kansas as it is to not drop that game against Colorado. And I think the same thing with your regular season finale, which is at Arizona State, and we're all still very much remember.
A little twitchy from that game, but
your Arizona State matchup here in Lubbock. But obviously the headline grabber and first things first is a big first thing first. The nice thing is from the Houston game is it being a big Monday matchup, and they played a big Monday matchup. Well, they played a not as big
Monday matchup against Colorado. Yeah.
The nice thing is that you have more days rest, and you have that Monday to Saturday swing. Hopefully getting most, if not all, everybody that's dinged up less so.
That would be the idea. I think implied you really need to go 3-0 to find that 3 seed. I think Tech pretty well locks themselves into a 3 seed. If you go 2-1, if you lose in Lawrence, there's a chance that you can still get the 3 seed. But if you want to lock in that 3 seed and be in that spot in the NCAA tournaments, then I think you need to find a 3-0 mark. And I think it is very doable this year in Allen Fieldhouse, but it's never an easy trip there. And
doable, yes. Shoe in.
Oh, not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. Doesn't exist with that building. But I do think best chance on paper. I mean, we've seen some really good teams go into Lawrence and be 14-point underdogs and lose by 20, and we've seen that time and time again. I don't know if it has the same magic that it used to, or really it's just the talent level or depth level of Kansas isn't quite what we saw in 14 straight Big 12 titles, but still a win goes a really, really long way for the Red Raiders on Saturday. So next time we convene, we will talk about that one, obviously, and be looking forward to a Big 12 tournament. March is here this weekend.
March is here this weekend. Yeah.
I am very excited.
Welcome in the madness.
I'm very excited. I think a lot of Red Raider fans are very excited. And last little notch, you could end up seeing a very drivable game for a lot of Red Raider fans if you end up in Denver in the first and second rounds, and I think that's a real possibility.
There would be a high chance of that if you wound up in Denver.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a whole lot of Red Raider fans.
You could roll into Denver with all your buds. You could grind out that drive. Smoke the miles.
I'm not picking up what you're putting down.
Oh, sorry.
What does that mean?
I thought we'd be on the same page.
Oh, there it is. And with that, we're done. It has been the Gaslighters Podcast. He's Clint Scott. I'm Chois Woodman. Tune it in next time. Hit the like, subscribe button, if you will.
We marijuana see you next week.
And Clint won't be here, apparently. It's the Gaslighters, part of the Double T Sports Network.
This is the Ballin' Out Podcast, your weekly breakdown of Red Raider basketball from Double T 97.3 and DoubleTSportsNetwork.com.